Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for attending our last community engagement session for our new homes on Cityscape. So I wanted just to go ahead and just kick this evening off with a few remarks from Councilmember Carolyn Evans Shabazz. Councilman Shabazz?
Well, thank you and good afternoon. Always a pleasure to bring the community together to get information. I want to thank Pastor Levingston for allowing us to participate, I think, live from his church. And so that's always wonderful. He's an awesome pastor in the community. I thank him for his leadership. And so I am very excited about this. What really excites me is that there has been continuous community engagement, which I think is vitally important so that we can address the needs and concerns of not only the people who are coming to live in the community, but those that are currently living there. And so I do appreciate it. Ray Miller, I know is staying on top of this as well as the team. And, I have expressed my concerns, which only were for the homeowners association, because I do want to make sure that the community is maintained in a way that would be uh, pleasing to those that are living there as well as those that are surrounding. And so I'm going to relinquish this time, but I thank everyone for your participation, and we're just going to move forward because I think that it's important to provide quality housing for the people, particularly the people in District D, which is the what? The district of destination. And so thank you so very, very much for this, and you all have a great evening.
Thank you so very much, Councilman, for your remarks. So I do want to give our Assistant Director at the Housing and Community Development Department, Ray Mill, an opportunity to say a few words as well. Ray?
Thank you, Olivia, and good evening, everyone. Thank you to taking some time with us tonight to talk about an opportunity that the housing department is looking to do. Essentially, it's bringing homes into an area of the city. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the somewhat of a housing crisis the city is going through right now, and what we're doing to help bring that. But what we're really here to talk about tonight is to get your feedback and get your input. So when we do move forward and we find the developers and the partners that are ultimately going to bring these homes into your neighborhood, but this is an opportunity to provide your feedback, to provide your input on what's going to make this a successful part of the community, and make it a part of the community, and ultimately your feedback is going to be captured tonight. It's going to be presented in a package to the developer partners, and ultimately we are looking to get this feedback turned into reality and turned into homes, not just homes, but quality homes that you're going to be proud of for generations to come. So we're excited to get started with you tonight. We're excited to get that feedback from you, and we were looking forward to move forward with this project. So, Livy, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and thank you for the time.
All right, thank you, Ray. So I wanted to go ahead and just jump right in. So we're presenting our new homes on Cityscape. So we're looking at a development, right off of Highway 288 and in between Alameda, Genoa, and Orem. And so it's on Cityscape Boulevard. But I first want to introduce you to our team here at the Housing Community Development Department. We're part of the large tract division. So that's myself, Olivia Bush, the interim division manager. We also have Jeremiah Rivera, he's our community outreach coordinator, Larry Harris, who's our relationship manager, and Ray Miller, who just spoke, our assistant director. Um, Don Lee is also our administrative coordinator, and Nathan Washington is our large tract division senior project manager. So I want to just kind of go over some little housekeeping just so we can keep the meeting in good order. So please just mute your microphone so we don't get any feedback. I want you also to know the presentation is being recorded. So if you miss anything or you're busy taking notes, we want to let you know that we are recording this presentation and we will send you a link to the recording within the next day or two. So you could always play it back. Um, any questions you have, we don't want you to have to hold on to those questions. You can go ahead and just put them in the chat. Larry Harris will be responding to those questions live as you present them. So as you hear anything that jogs your memory, anything you want to stop and question us, don't hesitate. Go ahead and put that information in the chat. Or you can just write it down and we'll collect that information. You can always email us or send it to us at a later time. Um, um, if you at all you after this presentation is over and you want to get more information about what we're doing in on New Homes Cityscape, go to our landing page. On that landing page, you can enter in your email address, and then you'll be added to our database. And then you will be able to get any updates that come along on this development. We'll email them to you. So just kind of give you an idea of what we plan to discuss this evening. We want to just give you an idea of how this project came about. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Then we'll discuss how the community engagement, this is our very last, we've been in the community 3 times already, so this is our last event, but I wanted to give you a background of what we've been doing and why. And want you to know that your feedback will be utilized. Much like what Ray just mentioned, we intend to collect all the data, collect all your feedback, put it in a manner and write it into the NOFA. So we're going to have our developers make sure that they take into account the information provided during these sessions. But at the very end, we want to kind of drill down on all the information. And so we'll have a little bit of a breakout session. We're going to stay in one big group, but what we'll do is we're going to ask you some very specific questions about the community itself and how to make sure we gather the right data for our developers. So why this project? Why your neighborhood? And how did we get here? So as a city department, it's been very important to us in the large tract division that we create new home ownership opportunities for residents who live in the city of Houston. So I want to just say that again. Our development is for home ownership, and we're trying very hard to address the needs of the community. As mentioned, also that we are in a bit of a housing crisis. Material costs are going up, as well as interest rates are going up even higher, and that's just creating a bit of a gap in affordability and home ownership. So it's us as a city, we feel like it's our duty to kind of level the playing field, making sure that the dream of home ownership is still attainable. So what we are doing is making considerable investments in communities so that homeownership stays attainable for low to moderate income home buyers. So this is what we talk about. When we say housing crisis, this is what we mean. So what this development we're looking at is what is the average mean income, the area mean income for Houston. So at 80% AMI for a family of 4, it was running around in 2020 $63,000. And you see that from 2021, from 2020 to 2021, the increase was less than 1%. So we're just showing that inflation and our salaries are not growing at the same pace. Let's go a little bit deeper. Now remember that our area mean income for the city of Houston only went up about $300, yet and still the average sales price of a home increased 11%. So from March of 2021 to March of 2022, you can see that almost $100,000 increase in the average price of the home, average sales price of the home, and the median sale price went up 15.5%. So you're basically your salary stayed steady, yet the average cost of the home went up very considerably. So with your same income, basically you can afford a smaller house. So what can we do to make this, like I said, to level the playing field? So you can see, I just want to again kind of see how that chart is steadily going up when you're looking at the home sale prices going back to 2013. It's just a steady incline. So that's why we're here. That's why we looked at neighborhoods throughout the city, various we looked at, we're a large tract team. What that means for us is that we're building in a way that we're looking at sites of 7 acres or larger, and we want to make sure we put residents from Harvey single family development from DR7 disaster recovery funds and flood resistant neighborhoods. And so we looked at this cityscape site because it was very beneficial. There's a lot of attention already built out and the utilities are already there. And what that means to us, and honestly, I'm not a construction person, but it was explained to me very thoroughly. Having utilities already, that's going to help us get houses on the ground a lot faster. And that's what we all want. So this site, I want to kind of let you know what we're looking at. Again, it's at the corner of Highway 288 and Orem and Alameda Genoa. The lot we're purchasing is 14.9 acres, and so we're estimating to be able to build 240 homes. That's 240 opportunities for home ownership for your neighborhood. And 100 of those homes will be priced at an attainable level. So how long is this going to all take? So, of course, we've already identified the site. So we, as the city of Houston, are under an option to purchase this piece of property. Then we're right here right now. We're here for gathering community feedback. So this is going to go through the end of this month. And then we're going to move forward in the second phase to issue a NOFA. So we as city, we contract developers to actually do the building and not only just building the homes, but they actually have to put streets and the utilities. They have to tap it in for each individual lot. They're going to take care of that for us. And so the way we're going to get the right developer for this neighborhood, it'll be through a competitive bid competition called a NOFA. Once that developer is selected, and again, we will make sure that your feedback is heard. The developer who incorporates your feedback the best in their design will be the one that will be awarded. They will be scored based on that criteria. Then hopefully we'll have construction start. Remember, these are tentative dates. So we're hoping we'll have construction. We'll have the developer selected by the end of this year and have construction start by next year, beginning of next year, and then hopefully we'll have homes on the ground by late of 2023. So we're about a year out before you see homes, but we want you to know that this is coming. So this is a site plan for this cityscape neighborhood. So you see, like I said, we're looking at 240, maybe possibly 250 homes. We are incorporating some green space. So when we get to the community engagement phase, we like to think about what do you want that green space to be? Could we do a dog park? Could we have a playground? What do you think were the needs of your community? You tell us. I don't want to assume anything. You have agency on the place and how you want your community to look. Please give us that information so we can build that into the design. So again, we're looking at 240, 250 homes. 41% will be attainable. 51% will be attainable. 49 a market rate. And I've said that a couple of times, but I want you to know that ultimately what we're doing is we are building market rate homes. So we're going to be building beautifully constructed homes, disaster resilient homes, and Energy Star certified efficient homes. They will be priced at an attainable level, an affordable level. So any one of the home buyers that are interested in this development in this particular neighborhood, it should be your responsibility to get a 30-rate fixed mortgage. So there's two paths you can take to buy into this community, to invest into this community. You go to traditional home buyer process, and then if you income qualify, you get that market rate house. If you were a resident of the city in August of 2017 and you're indirectly or directly impacted by Hurricane Harvey, and your income is at 80% area mean income or below, then you would still get a 30-year fixed income mortgage, but you'll qualify to get that attainable house. With that qualification, you will also be subject to a 5-year forgivable loan or lien on your property for 5 years. That will be forgiven over the 5-year period, and then you kind of go back in the same category as a traditional home buyer. So, who will your neighbors be? Because we expect a lot of people on this call already live in this community, so you kind of want to know who's moving in next door. So, we just gave a couple of potential home buyer profiles for you to consider. Think about a young couple just starting out, what your salary was when you first got married and you both had entry level positions. So say a millennial or Gen Z or Gen X, whoever the generation after me, and you're in your mid 20s. You have your first child, just graduated from college. So again, say the husband's an admin assistant making about 21 870 a year, and the wife, she's a firefighter, she's a go-getter, she's a firefighter working for the city, and her income is $33,000 a year. So together, they have a combined income of $57,000. This could be very well be your neighbor, and they qualify for a three-person household because the little girl is a person, and so she would be this. They will be your neighbor. So let's think about different family structure. So in this scenario, this is a nuclear family plus one. Sometimes you have an extra family member that needs a little bit of help out. It's going to come help out with the family. So in this scenario, we have an uncle who is a decorated military veteran. He's at 100% disability, so he's contributing to the household financially with an average income of $39,000. Um, the husband in this scenario is an inspector, say with also the city of Houston, coincidentally, and it's making about $42,000 a year. So just say the mom in this traditional household or non-traditional household is a stay-at-home parent taking care of the kids because she wants to give them that extra care. You got to get them back and forth to soccer practice. So the two income earners in the household, when you combine their income, they're still at the 80% AMI level. For a five-person household, that's 83,650 per year. So here's where we're at. So we're at we first had a spirited discussion with the community stakeholders for this neighborhood and the adjacent neighborhoods. And that got us to setting up these hybrid meetings. Some are virtual, some are in person and virtual. And so this is, again, our last community session. But we want to come back. It's not just a one and done. We're going to come back and give you a recap of all the feedback we received. And so you can also get an idea of what information we will put into the notebook. And that'll happen in July. So we have, again, two opportunities for you to give comments, in the in community period, is what we're in right now, but also online. So, sometimes you just want to give your feedback and you don't necessarily want to, be vocal. So you can always go and give your feedback online. And again, we will present that findings to the community. So we also want to let you know that we are doing a lot of outreach in community. You'll see our signs around your neighborhood, around the site itself. There'll be yard signs. You'll see the banner. So I want to let you know that we're going to be out here, and you'll get used to seeing that logo. The online portion of the feedback is occurring on our social pinpoint website. That social pinpoint tool is a bilingual tool. There is a map on the thing, so you could actually put a pin. That's why it's social pinpoint, very clever. You could put a pin on the map and put information. So if there's a park that you really, really like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in this neighborhood, but somewhere around the city, you could put a pin on that park and say, hey, I would like something like this in or around this development. Is it possible? And that'll give us an idea, a launch pad to start from. But there's also a survey, like the council member mentioned, that, part of our survey question was homeowners association. Is that a need? Is that something that, I know that's something that we strongly encourage, but we also want to hear from you. And we've already heard a lot of feedback in that area, but keep those ideas coming. Because one thing, like I said, as far as the homeowner association, if that's the word on the street, if that's what the community wants, we will make that a necessity in the NOFA and make it a mandate for the chosen developer. And there's also an idea wall. You can also just put your ideas outside of the survey, put in a pin in a map. You can just write your ideas on the wall on this site. So here's just kind of an illustration on what the site looks like. That's the wall of ideas for you to enter your information. The good thing about this site, if somebody's already said something that you believe in or you agree with, you can give it a good old thumbs up. So I just want to kind of go through the questions. We are going to go into a breakout session, and we use Google Jamboard. We're going to have one of our facilitators from our outside consultant to go through those questions with you, but I want to give you a heads up on what those questions look like. So, what we're trying to gather, the information where we would like to get from you today, is get a good idea of what you would like this development to look like. We want to see if we can line up. Our goal is to make sure that what we build lines up with the aesthetics for the neighborhood. So we're looking for, okay, what makes a house a home for you? What makes a house a home for you in this neighborhood? How do you want, as we build new homes for the neighborhood, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a porch? Are you looking for a facade? Brick versus stucco. Tell us what you want us to build and see what we can incorporate into the design. Um, you know, we're going to be very honest. We're trying, in order to make the homes affordable, it's a numbers game. Really, really is in this environment. So, we're going to build dense in the property, but, we want to build densely with good design so that you are happy with the home that you're living in. So, how do we do that? How do we make the townhome feel like a home? um we we're so give us that kind of feedback that'll help us, like when we looked at the green space. If you have a nice little area, a little walking trail around a community, that'll make it feel like a community, and that's ultimately our goal. And then we want to think about not just our development. We want to make sure that you feel connected to the larger neighborhood. How do we do that? Does that mean that we need to put a B-cycle station in or around the development? Does that mean that you want a bike trail from our development to the next development over? Tell us how you will make sure that it's a transit-oriented development and you feel connected to the community at large. And again, as we're talking about that green space, what will make this community a community? And so think about communal space. Like I said, I'm just throwing ideas out there, but you tell me what you want. So now it's time to kind of go into the breakout rooms, but I want to give you a heads up of what to look at. We're going to transition to uh, the Google Jamboard, and everyone will just kind of be pulled out of this room, and we'll go right into Google Jamboard, and then you know you'll be able to share your ideas. Kind of like if you had a virtual sticky note, and you can put those sticky notes in, and we'll actually have a facilitator to help give your comments. So that's an opportunity for you to get off of mute. But if you want to, you can also go on a Jamboard yourself and just write it in, whatever you feel comfortable with. So this is the link to the social pinpoint site, as well as to the landing page for homes at Cityscape. So I want to make sure you have that. And again, and if you're driving or you can't not jot this information down, we will send you out this recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation. And don't hesitate to give us a shout out. Go ahead and send it. This is our email address. If after this meeting you want to discuss things a little bit further, we'll meet with you one-on-one. Send us an email. Let us know what your thoughts. Let us know how you feel about the development. We're open to any and all comments. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. I think I'll be taking over.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're getting to the breakout room. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I guess it's a yes. Okay, so thank you again for joining us tonight. So my name is Wei Xiao with Asakura Robinson, and I will be your facilitator for the rest of the night, basically. So my colleague Cecily will be also joining us in the chat room. Cecily, if you want to say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to hear all of your thoughts.
Great, thanks, Cecily. As Olivia said, we are going to have a facilitated conversation through Google Jamboard about the features you would like to see for this development. And you will have two ways to participate, either through the chat or by using the raise hand icon. So if you want to use the raise hand icon, we will call on yourself and unmute yourself to either share your idea or agree with an idea already on the Jamboard or add on to an idea that's already on the Jamboard. And you can also use the chat to provide ideas and give support to ideas already given. And if you do have any questions about development beyond the topics we're discussing tonight, you can reach out to the HCDD team at the email that Cecily will be sharing in the chat shortly. But remember, summarize the feedback will be incorporated into the notice of funding availability for developers to respond to. And this will not be the only item developers will adjust in their proposals, but it will be a very significant component. So the more specific the feedback, the clearer the city can be on the notice of funding availability. And as you're answering the questions, just think about what makes this important to me. So we will have about 30 minutes for this session, and we're going to spend about 7 minutes for each topic. But again, remember, you can always leave your feedback on the social pinpoint tool through early join. So let's jump into the first question. So what makes a house or a home feel like it's part of the community? You can think through, features like window, patio, or the color of the building, even like the materials of the building, things like that. I'm gonna give everyone maybe 30 seconds or a minute to put your response in the chat. Okay, I see someone is typing. Okay, someone says if the houses are similar, it seems like a neighborhood. So can you elaborate like similar in like materials or colors or everything? Lines and any other thoughts? Or you can think from, the density or even like the bedroom size or how many bedrooms you would like to see. Melissa, you raised your hand. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, Ray.
Hey.
I don't live in this community, so I do not want to impose my own design, aesthetic on this particular project. But I did have a question about whether or not, the current conversations and recommendations going on with livable places in the planning department would at all have any, I guess like priority or be added to the NOFA in any way, perchance.
Yeah, sure. Olivia, I'm not sure if ACD had a chance to talk to planning department about this. If you want to chime in to answer this.
No, we haven't. Could you give me a little more detail?
Absolutely, I would love to, because it's my favorite topic. Yeah, so the city has been undergoing this livable places initiative to really think about smaller scale missing middle housing types, like thinking about these different types of housing types like townhomes, duplexes, fourplexes, eightplexes, um, to and really kind of thinking about the negative externalities, the things we've been seeing in our neighborhoods that we don't quite like, and maybe being able to change things in our development codes to make new development fit better with community. And so it has a lot to do with community character. And over this year, they've been talking a lot about how to make townhomes, especially these smaller lot, single family dwellings, to feel more pedestrian friendly, as well as just more community oriented. So talking about ways to remove maybe that parking garage or the parking garage that's like right in front of your home, maybe moving that off to the side so that we can have more doors on our streets or more doors along a green space. So more street frontage makes the community feel more comfortable. Also maybe having more porches, things like that. And so I think they're all just really great recommendations. Of course, I don't know how much they've been vetted by this particular neighborhood, but I think those are just really great, livable, sustainable, more community-oriented building standards.
That's awesome. Because from our observation, that this is a community of single family homes. There really isn't, there's density in apartment complex, but not necessarily townhomes. So I think that would be a happy medium between the apartment and the single family detached to make the townhome that, like I said, is more livable and more communal.
Thanks both. We got a few comments about the features that they would like to see for the new development: walking trail, two bathroom, open kitchen, and living room area like that. Any other thoughts? Thanks, Melissa. And Cecily, you're doing timing for us, right?
Yeah, we have about a minute left.
Okay. All right, the last call before we move on to the next topic. All right, I think we can probably move on to the next one. So the next question is that how can we make slightly denser development like townhomes feel like they belong? So for this one, I think you can probably think about the development you like in Houston area or in your neighborhood. Think about like the colors of the building or some other features that you feel like they belong to this community, but slightly denser development like townhomes. I see someone's typing. So do you want to see a bigger green space or, big window? What about patio? I see someone said patio home versus townhome. Could you elaborate a little bit on the patio home? Like what specific features you would like to see? Is it just like patio or anything else?
Yeah, this is Laura. I am the one that wrote
Hey, Laura.
that. How are you guys doing? I too want to reiterate, not in our immediate community, but those who are still looking to purchase within the very close city of Houston area. However, understanding that they're next door to established neighborhoods, making sure that the product, the type of home that may be built, it complements the neighborhoods. So, not having a townhome look like an inner city townhome, maybe have it look more like a patio home. As you can see on the far bottom right picture, they're kind of clustered together, making them feel a little bit more separate, almost like the ones to the left of it,
Mm-hmm.
because it still looks aesthetically more like a home, a traditional home. And maybe you can put two townhomes in one of those attached structures, but then separating out the other ones to still make it look aesthetically pleasing to the area.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thanks for the feedback. Any other thoughts, comments?
I mean, still talking about townhomes, making sure that there's a minimum space from each. I don't know if you all are familiar with the kind of townhome, tall homes. I don't know if they're 3 stories or not, by South Main, um, and West Belford, or Belford at the very end, going into the medical center. A lot of those homes, you can probably open a window and put your hand out to touch the neighbor. Want to have that kind of consideration of space, but also thinking multi-units development, as I believe that's what it's geared to when that
Mm-hmm.
term, this is slightly denser, but
Mm-hmm.
be careful how dense. You still want some space, maybe a small backyard if you have a pet, almost bigger than a typical patio at an apartment complex, almost like European or Northeastern areas have.
Yeah, cool. Maybe I would say design measurement and like privacy. Any other ideas? All right, I don't see any more comments coming in. Olivia, is it good for us to move on to the next one, you think?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so the next question is about connectivity. So as Olivia mentioned, we don't, only care about the like this development. We also want to make sure we're providing enough connectivity for you to access to, some other amenities in your neighborhood and also some other developments. So for us to build the connectivity, we would like to know what you care about. It could be, B-cycle, as Olivia mentioned, or, a bike lane, or maybe, a bus lane, or maybe you can also think about, traffic calming, stop sign, things like that. What makes you feel safer, walking in your community and getting to other places? Hey, Melissa.
Hi, Ray. Okay, while everyone is gathering their thoughts, I have a lot of thoughts on this particular question. As you know, I work for Air Alliance Houston, so we're working towards a multimodal sustainable transportation network, and I've also worked for the city in the planning department for the bike plan initiatives. I would love to learn more about how this particular site was chosen, because I haven't been yet right around the site yet, but I looked on Google Maps and it looked like there were no sidewalks on the street at all yet. So I definitely think sidewalks need to exist. I also think that this is a great opportunity to build a connection from Cityscape to the Sims Bayou Trail. because that's being done right now. And I believe that's under construction up to, I believe, Buffalo Speedway and then all the way east. And that will get everyone connected to the whole Bayou system effectively. So I think that's a really critical connection for people walking and biking. And I think it's very possible. Uh, then I also think I believe the closest bus stop is the 54 on Alameda Genoa. And again, looking at Google Maps, this is a place that has like no bus pad. It has nothing but a stick in the ground. So I think it's a really great opportunity to partner with Metro. I believe that transit, that route should be, I don't know if that is part of, it's so far south, but is that part of the Metro Boost corridors at all?
I I honestly don't think so. I know currently only Studemont, and I think they are considering Shepherd and Durham, but it's yeah probably not that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
but I can double check.
Okay, cool. And then just overall, I mean, this area is like so bad in terms of connectivity, and we hear it a lot. And I was at the District D CIP meeting, I think about a week or two ago, and folks were like, we have just like one lane in each direction, and it's really concerning. And Orem isn't, built out east, so there's definitely bound to be some bottlenecks. But so if people can have options, to take transit, to walk, to bike, as much as they can in this area. Again, like I don't know if this is the greatest site in the first place if we're trying to get people to be able to walk, bike, and take transit. Um, so whatever we can do within that, and so that's outside of the project. But if we can also think within the project, I noticed there's a great point of asking about if there's going to be a walking trail within the development. I think that's a really great idea to develop, some sort of trail within the development. That could also be a way to bring people and community together, and also doing everything you can to make maybe parking accessible to all people living in the development, but do it in a way that is maybe more hidden so that people are not walking across driveways all the time. That's a lot of conflict points. So just making it as easy for people to walk and bike as possible. Also thinking about entry points to the development so that folks are not having to walk or bike through driveways for cars and becoming part of the conflict if they have separate paths in and out of the development to walk and bike and roll. I think that would be a really great thing to add.
Great. I think those are all great feedback. Going back to the question you mentioned earlier in your comments, how or why we how we select this site. I think one of the things that Oliver mentioned was the infrastructure was already built there, like the drainage system. So it's kind of easier for us to build homes compared to some other sites. But Olivia, if you wanna, well, the other thing is that we also look into some other sites, but they're either having like within the flood plan or having some other issues that pose a lot of challenge on the development. So I don't know if anything else Olivia you wanna chime in to speak about.
Yes, those everything we mentioned are several of the reasons why this site was chosen. Additionally, it is very very is ease of access to Highway 288. You can look up from the site and see the medical center. So and then you're really close to 610. So if you have a car, it is very, transit oriented. If you don't have a car, just like a lot of, we're in between 610 and the Beltway. We're a little bit of a suburban site, and as you get further outside of the downtown corridor, the walkability of most neighborhoods in Houston go down. So there is going to be a lot of what we are going to do. Like we plan to have those discussions with Metro to bring stops closer and closer into the development. It's not just our community, but there is a neighborhood right next to our community that we feel could take advantage of a Metro stop closer to the sites. So they're not walking, like you said, all the way up, to the corner of Alameda Genoa. And the more the development comes, we expect there'll be more opportunities for not just public but private investment. We want to be able to attract more, more retail and more because we do realize that we are kind of middle of a transportation and food desert in this neighborhood, but we want to give people an opportunity to attract those other private investments within the community itself.
Can I respond, Ray? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just respectfully, I have to disagree in using affordable housing as a means for community revitalization solely. Historically, that has not worked, and that has not been a good idea. So I've also worked in fair housing, so I've really, I just don't want it to be of a like we'll build it here and then they'll come. So I think that's not being honest with the community of how that works. But so I'm happy to work with folks, from the city of just helping coordinate that, even though I'm no longer at the city. But I just would love to see the planning department and Public Works also, because they are also aware of, what these streets can do. I think it also Precinct 1 as well. They're a big bike advocate. And so that might be a really great way to get maybe a cycle track along Cityscape and some sidewalks as well. Because I did notice that I think there's just, I think it's marked for on-street parking, which makes zero sense since there's like almost nothing on the street. So this is a great chance before this development's built to design and construct a cycle track and get that in for the Sims Bike connection and the transit connection.
All right. So just one thing I appreciate all of your comments. I just want to say that, but I wanted to be clear that we are building a development. We're not building affordable housing development. We're building a development of 200 to 240, 250 homes that will have affordable housing within the development. So attraction of 250 home buyers will be an attraction for this particular neighborhood. There's several home developments subdivisions throughout this community. So it's not just us that's development in the community. And you can see retail coming down, not just Alameda Genoa, but Orem, all the way to Airport. So we're just one big piece within a community that's already developing.
All right, thank you both. I think we have to move on to the last one. Okay, so the last question we want to ask is how can green and communal spaces help build community? So what would you like to see as a green space or in the green space in your community? Is it like picnic table or shade structure or trees or anything else you can think of, or even like community garden that would attract people to come together, and gather. And you can maybe think from, the birthday party you celebrated at, a space that you celebrated at, what kind of feature you liked about and you would like to see for this development. If someone wants to speak out, just raise your hand. Is there any furniture or amenity you would like to see at the meeting place, like, bench, table, or maybe shade structure, or anything else that would make the place nicer and you feel more comfortable? Great, thanks, Melissa. Okay, so Melissa said dense vegetation, trees near the freeway to mitigate air pollution because of its adjacency to the highway. Any other thoughts, comments? Picnic tables. And Melissa talked about walking trail. I think it can go to both sides. It doesn't have to be for connectivity. Would people prefer trees or shade structure? Trees. Thank you. Okay, I think we're about at the time, and I don't see any more comments coming in. I'm gonna hand it back to Olivia to wrap this up.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you again for all of the vibrant conversation. it always helps to have opposing voices in a discussion. So, because I think that at the root of it all, we want the best for this community, and I really appreciate that. So, thank you so much for taking your time to provide the feedback. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Either go to the City of Houston website, email us, but most importantly, put your comments in Social Pinpoint. This is what's going to inform the NOFA. This is going to be the developer that's going to build these homes and make sure that we do the best we can with the federal dollars given to us for this community. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a good evening.
Oh, Alyssa, do you have something to say?
Yeah, sure. We got time. So I had one more thing I wanted to add for the NOFA since that reminded me of something to consider. So I do have one link. I don't think it's that great. So what I'm trying to get us, we have this opportunity. We're talking to developers. We can tell them what we want. I love that. This is exciting. What I would hope that we can maybe also consider from the transportation and connectivity side is also those incentives for the residents to use other modes of transportation. Again, might not make a lot of sense to the people who choose to live at Cityscapes, but Stella Link is located next to transit. So I wanted to provide this one link to Transportation Demand Management Explainer that the City of Austin has, because we don't have transportation demand management, but it's an incentive essentially for we can use it for developers really, of saying like these are ways that you're providing maybe a transit pass to residents, the B-cycle station that Olivia mentioned earlier, usually maybe a car share, parking spaces. There's a lot of different options. Maybe they're, thinking about bike storage. Maybe there's a communal bike storage facility on site. Just like different options for people to choose different ways of moving about. And I think that maybe putting those types of incentives or giving points to a developer that provides those types of options for residents would be a good way to try to advance the city's objectives of having a more multimodal city.
Thank you. Much agree. We definitely want to be developed in a transit-oriented way. So I appreciate all that, and I'm going to check out all those links. Any last comments before we adjourn? We have like 1 minute. No? Well, I'm going to give you that minute back. Thank you so much for, again, your time, and everyone have a good evening.